Next up is Kelly Franznick, our co-founder, one of our fearless leaders. Kelly helps run the company, but also takes an active role, a strategic role in several of our accounts. Most recently, he helped Moen revolutionize the bath and launch the first smart shower. What many may not know about Kelly, and so many of you in the industry know him or have known him for years, but is that prior to founding Blink, he was in industrial and product design. And how this shows up for him today is that he's got a 3D printer that's floating around the office somewhere, but it is back in his office and going literally nonstop all day long. It's making noise back there. So he's our tinkerer. He's going to be speaking today again on Chatbots, and let's give him a round of applause for this, but also thank him for the open bar.
Thank you. Tim tells me to kiss the microphone, so I apologize if it's loud. How's everybody doing? Great. My daughter is 16 and just doing some public speaking now, and had volunteered to be a MC at an auction coming up, which I thought was pretty gutsy for a 16-year-old. But she looked at me and she said, "Dad, I don't even know these people. What do I care?" I know far too many of you tonight, so here goes. Calling my talk here, my Chatbot ate your intranet, and we'll get to the punchline there in a bit. But I wanted to start off with just what's all the buzz about chatbots. They have really been around a long time. You go back to the original Turing test, programs like Eliza, which I remember playing with as a kid. Eliza had a schizophrenic friend named Perry that was developed, where you could chat with somebody who simulated that condition. I remember playing Zork, which was sort of a chatbot in the entertainment domain. So this technology at its root has been around a very long time. I wanted to show, in preparation for this talk, I found something kind of fun. It's a conversation between Eliza, which was a virtual therapist chatbot, and Perry, which was the patient chatbot. So long before people had their Amazon Home talking to their Alexa devices, somebody connected Eliza and Perry together to have a conversation. And Perry says, "People get on my nerves sometimes," and Eliza says, "I'm not sure I understand you fully." Perry says, "You should pay more attention." So pretty interesting exchange between those two. So what's changed recently that's made this such a big deal? A couple of things. Of course, artificial intelligence. So, simply defined as computers doing things that traditionally have required human intelligence to do. So we've got things now like natural language processing. We've got the ability to identify patterns, predict behavior before it happens, that really come into play with the new era of chatbots, and really help to solve some of the problems that made those not so elegant and not such great experiences in the past. The other thing that's really changed is just message apps everywhere. This is a graph that shows the monthly active users for the top 4 social networks compared to the top 4 messaging apps, with messaging apps actually surpassing the active monthly users on social networks. And this is at least a year old, so that's a trend that has continued. So it's really where the people are. These texting apps are where the eyeballs are. So I've got a quote here from the founder of Kik, who says, "Chat apps will become to thought of as the new browsers. Bots will be the new websites. This is the beginning of a new internet." And I really think he's onto something. And it's not necessarily that it's going to replace your browser, replace the internet, but it's going to be another channel in that mix. It's going to be really, really important. So what kind of challenges are chatbots good for? It's really a range of things, from commerce to HR, market intelligence. Instead of having to go into Outlook and find out when the next time that everybody could meet, is available with a room, you could just tell your chatbot to go do that for you. I was at a conference recently on AI, and I heard one of the folks from a company called ServiceNow talk about some of the chatbot work in her company. And she talked about really identifying clear pain points. And one of the ones for them was that 20% of all help desk calls were doing password resets. You know, it's like, what year is it? This is such low-hanging fruit, right? But that was still 20% of all the help desk's requests. And she estimated a cost of $25 per call for those. So you can imagine the impact of that if you could automate that process for people. So this is really taking off lately. So as of July of last year, there were 11,000 chatbots on Facebook Messenger. There's millions of dollars last year. I think the middle of last year, there was $175 million VC funding for chatbots, and that's just what was disclosed. That's not all the funding that you don't hear about. And Slack's VC fund for Slack bots alone was $80 million. So I wanted to do a bit of an experiment. I was really inspired by the AI conference I was at. So what are some of the pain points at Blink? So one that's near and dear to my heart is the Blink brand messaging. As our company has grown from 2 of us to 70 people, it's been really hard to sort of provide the stewardship and governance that I might want to. So what have we done to date? So we have an intranet. We have, brand guidelines and different text documents on the intranet. And it's actively maintained, but I don't think anybody ever goes there. It's sort of the place of last resort. There's also been, admittedly, even though, it's what we do, there's been very little user testing or feedback to help inform and promote that intranet. Sorry, Mark. So that's where the experiment comes in. So enter Blinky. So Blinky is our chatbot. And what I decided to do is build a chatbot that would live where our users are, which is Slack, all day long, every day. And so here's the first iteration, and I apologize, I'll have to read this out to you because the screen's pretty far away for most of you. But you invoke our little brand bot here. It says, "Hi, I'm Blinky, the brand bot. You can ask me questions about Blink and I will give you the definitive answer. Are you ready to give it a try?" So Mark, who I think is here somewhere, over here, says, this is literally our first interactions with our chatbot. He says, "Sure." And Blinky politely says, "I'm ready for your question." And so Mark, right off the bat, says, "What's the hex color for the Blink logo?" Oh, fail. And Mark even calls it. He says at the end, "Fail," and leaves, never comes back. So, time to rethink the chatbot. So second iteration here is thinking about, what are those questions that people want to ask. So not just, you as the creator want to provide, but what's the range of possibility that might be asked, and also what are those error paths when you don't have an answer? How do you elegantly recover from those mistakes? So our second iteration here, we have Peter, one of our visual designers, saying, "I'm ready for your question." And Peter simply types "fast facts," which is one I actually anticipated. So he gets a big list of fast facts, followed by now the start of a little more personality where he says, "See you later, alligator." And so for Peter, that's a great success. So as this evolved, one of the things I wanted to highlight that's so great about doing this type of work is you've got this rich source of data, not having to go out to a lab, bring people in, do testing of this. You've got all of this data in real time as people are interacting with the chatbot. So you can mine all of this and see where you haven't anticipated something, how people are interacting with it, what's being used the most. So our third iteration, we get a little more sophisticated. So a couple of things. We've renamed what was known as the brand bot. Now we're all in with Blinky. We're really going for the personality. And one of the other capabilities here that is great compared to doing a traditional intranet is being able to mix all these different sorts of answers. So I can answer a text, I can provide a link to another resource. In this case, somebody says, where can I find the Blink logo? So it's not just a location, but here's the logo file. I'm giving it right to you. Now somebody else comes in, not for the hex codes, but what are the color codes? And boom, Blinky knows those answers. So it starts to sort of shape up. So now we're getting a little smug and start to release it to a wider audience. One of the things I learned was, it's important to release this in waves and really find folks that will look for those failures, help you kind of push the envelope before you release to the next. So our fourth iteration, we actually put some guide rails back on it. So again, I'll read this to you here. The greeting now when you evoke Blinky, it says, hi there, I'm Blinky, the Blink brand bot. It says, here are some things I can help you with, give it a try. And this time we have some little buttons down there, like mission, vision, values, phone, fax, some common things that people have been asking about that are just a simple click away. You still have all the other natural language questions and answers going on available to the user, but you're also suggesting some common things, some guide rails for you. So we're on the verge of rolling this out company-wide on Slack, and I think it's going to keep a lot of what I was sort of hoping for with the brand governance in place, and also, we'll have real-time feedback if it doesn't. And I really do think that this is something that, this is something that really will replace that function on our intranet. And why is that? Again, it's because it's where our users are. They don't have to go over, log into another system. It also can respond to a wide range of requests in a really wide range of ways. There's also zero navigation. You don't have to know where to go look. You just ask your question and you get the response. Is navigation dead? It certainly is in this context. You can also provide very actionable results to people. So you can give them a link, you can give them a login, you can give them a file, and there's lots of different things you can do. You could initiate a video conference, within Slack, there's lots of different things you can do. It also learns and evolves. And I think last and maybe most important is also fun, kind of a brand ambassador. So, this is an intranet tool for us, but, there's companies on Facebook, big brands doing this with their customers. And really, that fun and that brand message is as almost more important than solving the problem for them. So what did we learn from this experiment? So, first of all, pick a single use case. So, what is that problem that you want to solve? Don't try to be everything to everyone. Also, I think it's important, at least initially, to try to do something new. Don't do something where you've got legacy systems involved. Don't do something where you've got a bar that you've got to meet up to. If this is your first chatbot experiment, try to do something that hasn't been done before. Think about defining and designing your chatbot's personality like you would a character. What is that character and how would they behave? Start without the guide rails on so you can mine that user behavior. And then roll out in waves, learning as you go. And then finally, mine that data for insights. So I want to thank everybody at Blink who participated in the testing of Blinky here and gave me all the feedback and hit all those dead ends. And I'd love to talk to you guys more about this and how you guys can put chatbots in where you work to replace your intranets. So thank you. I think we have time for questions, so I'm back. Questions? Go ahead. Yeah, so I looked at a couple of different APIs. The one I ended up with is called Motion AI, and that has a Slack integration. It is one of the frustrating things about Motion AI is it's really built for these long linear paths where you might be doing something like shopping and it says, I want to buy a shirt, and then it drills down and says what kind of shirt, what size, what color, etc. And what I was doing, I really wanted to have more, I wanted to have the chatbot listening more globally and coming back with a response and then kind of looping back around. But what's great about it is there's a lot of possible integrations with that API and lots of ways that you can extend it.
So you talked a lot about chatbots and this being more business-centered model, like being used in a startup. How would you see this being later implemented in the future within other different types of models, such as healthcare, or maybe not so this could be persistent?
So I lost the last part, but I heard you say using this in a business context. How would I imagine it being used in other contexts? Is that right?
Contexts like such as healthcare,
Yeah. So I think it has lots of possibility there. Especially in something like healthcare, if you can identify those right pain points. If you look at something in healthcare like appointment scheduling, which uses just an amazing amount of resources in a hospital. Not only just the patient coming in for their appointment, but if you look at the group of providers that is required to make a procedure happen, I think there's lots and lots of opportunity there for chatbots to come into play and do some of the coordination that's being done now with humans. Let me come over there, I'm sorry. Oh.
Thank you.
Hello.
So, oh my God, that's loud. So when it comes to, you talk about chatbots and like a more administrative program, such as like helping with like scheduling appointments or organizing, what color codes are there? How would you see chatbots in a more non-administrative role?
Yeah, for example, clinically?
Yeah, clinically.
Yeah, I think there's a place for that, but it's all about what's behind that experience, right? And you've got issues of trust, you've got issues of branding. So, I saw Laura here tonight, a friend. We worked on a healthcare startup back in the late '90s, and how do you take some of the knowledge bases that we were dealing with and implement them with a chatbot? I think you certainly could, but where do you draw that line? It's going to stop short of diagnosing a patient, but you could definitely, direct them. Maybe you could do some triage, when to call a doctor type of information. Great question.
So I'm just wondering how much education is involved in getting more of a public sector involved with chatbots? If a company is trying to implement that to save time on their end, does it involve a lot of education about how to ask the questions or anything like that? What's the lead up to that?
Yeah, so the promise of chatbots is that it really doesn't require a lot of conversation, that you're doing it in the most natural way. So you're just having a conversation and the chatbot is understanding what you're after, understanding what your intent is, and providing you with that response. So, it's improving every day. Just even looking at natural language recognition from voice is improving every day. I think I saw a statistic that Google's natural language processing for voice is about 90% reliability, but it's simpler when you're typing in than when you're speaking. But the same engine underneath can do both.
Hi, I was just wondering if you think that chatbots, there's like a space for chatbots in like customer service. like customer support. In my research, I've noticed that like one of the biggest pain points customers have with like contacting customer support is they feel like their answers are like scripted and stuff. So it's kind of like the opposite of chatbots. So I was wondering if you see like any area for chatbots in customer service or like customer support.
Yeah, that's a great question. I do think that there's a huge opportunity there if you look at things like the password resets or other things where a chatbot can help guide somebody through it. But one of the big frustrations for people in customer service settings, is, as we've all experienced, is just wanting to talk to that person. You know, you go to the Contact Us form and you start typing your question, and you get these automated scripts that come back. That's not what you're looking for. You've decided when you get there that you want to speak to a person. So, you know, where do you draw that line? And, you know, it could be that there's almost like the healthcare example, some human triage that goes on and then gives somebody to a resource that is a chatbot that helps them accomplish their goal, where that human could move on to the next task and point somebody to the new direction. You know, I think we will get to the point where this technology is more and more proven and more trusted, that you can have a completely automated solution, but it's going to be a tough sell in the immediate future for customer support scenarios.
I might be too close to this speaker. I'm new to Chatbot, so I'm just wondering, can you program in personality?
You can program in the personality so long as it's in those text characters. So, you know, it's somebody typing back to you is the personality, right? I've lost you.
So you're matching the style of the person contacting you?
Exactly right. You're writing a script. You can also add in variables, and you know, so it doesn't say the same thing every time in the same situation. You can also program it so that it responds to the tone and the way the question was asked from the person who's asking it.
Like multicultural issues can be solved by chatbots too?
Potentially, yes. The work that's going on right now that I've seen is mostly multilingual, but I don't think we've done much work yet to solve some of those cross-cultural issues. But I'm sure Google's working on that. Sure, one more.
So instead of building your own chatbots in-house, have you considered using existing services like Amazon Lex?
Yeah, and we are doing that. We are doing that as well on client projects, and you know, doing Alexa skill, other projects like that. And there are great resources out there. I may be getting low on battery here. Great resources out there, but really for us, the key ingredient was an easy Slack integration, because we knew that's where our audience was. Thank you. One more.
So I was curious to know about your vision for Blinky,
The vision?
for Blinky chatbot.
Sure. So the vision, I think in a nutshell, is to solve the brand problem first, have it live out in the wild to see if we've really done it, and then just looking at the data coming in from employees in the company, HR is definitely the next thing that people want answers about. So a lot of the questions are, you know, hey, do we have Martin Luther King Day off? And so to have quick and ready answers for that, I think is the next task. So thanks, everybody.